So you have a different way of doing things, a different way of seeing things. That may make you weird, but it also makes you awesome, don't you see?
Why are you helping us?
Because us weirdos have to stick together. And nobody should be punished for who they are.
The Owl House is an animated show that follows the adventures of a human girl who stumbles into the demonic realm of the Boiling Isles, where she decides to stay to learn how to become a witch. Since airing in 2020, The Owl House has made a lot of strides in the modern Western animation scene. Its magical world, inspired by the hellish paintings of Hieronymus Bosch, is strange and surreal and stands out against many other existing fantasy settings, both in animation and live action. It's known for its diversity, particularly in its queer representation, which it's even won a Peabody Award for. However, it also serves as an extremely positive example of neurodivergent representation. I want to discuss the show's protagonist, Luz Noceda, and how deeply intertwined her neurodivergent experience is to the show's themes of acceptance. But first, we have to cover some quick terms. What does neurodivergent mean? It is a non-medical umbrella term that describes people with variations in their mental functions and possess different strengths and struggles from people whose brains work more typically. Possible differences can vary between medical disorders and learning disabilities, including common conditions like autism, dyslexia, and ADHD, among others. The Owl House is a show with a lot of neurodiversity, in that it has a variety of characters that are coded as neurotypical and neurodivergent. It recognizes that everyone's brains develop and function in different ways, and this was intentional on the part of show creator Dana Terrace.
It was absolutely my intention to make Luz neurodivergent, but back in 2016, 2017, when I was first working with that character, I had never heard that word before. Mm-hmm. So after doing some research and looking up that word and just seeing it, seeing it more and talking to people about it, yeah, Luz is absolutely neurodivergent. And people who see her with ADHD, yeah, she has ADHD, but it's obviously doesn't hinder her. She learns a little differently. She's very visual, and she likes doing a lot of things at once. She's interested in a lot of things, and that's a boon to her. And it's a boon to people around her who can learn how to do things a little differently from her. It was always my intention to show someone who just learns a little differently, and that's totally cool.
Dana confirmed Luz being neurodivergent in April of 2021, but fans were quick to consider her ADHD coded long before then. A 2020 article by blogger Julia Samborski was the earliest major article I could find that discusses this coding. Samborski deems Luz's hyperfixation with magic and fiction, her impulsivity, and her lack of focus as familiar signs of ADHD. Common characteristics of ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, include having trouble paying attention, trouble controlling impulsive behaviors, and being overly active. It doesn't take long to realize that Luz shows signs of all of the above.
And think about what the island is trying to tell you.
All right, Luz, look with everything you've got. Focus. Focus? On what? On how you'll be stuck in the baby class?
No, don't think like that.
Face it, you'll never get a second spell following Ida's lessons.
Silence, hands!
That being said, the Owl House takes great care to show that these aspects of Luz don't hinder her. She's a visual learner, she's creative, and she's able to use her unique perspective to her advantage to solve problems in her own way.
A light glyph? But what does that mean?
It means magic is a gift from the island. It means magic is everywhere.
While she is unable to learn magic in the traditional way, she takes the time to learn in a way that suits her. She grows, and she becomes more than capable of holding her own and casting magic, just like any other witch.
That's nothing. A child could do a light spell. But I've never seen it cast like that.
It doesn't come naturally to me like it does for you, so I've had to improvise.
Even though Luz's ADHD doesn't hinder her day-to-day, What does hinder her growth is the way that her society treats her. The show begins when Luz is sent off to a re-educational summer camp that's intended to rein in her quirks and normalize her. When she comes across the Boiling Isles, she decides to stay so that she won't have to conform. But even in a place as absurd as the Demon Realm, she is still punished for not following the established norm. Luz is someone who was always heavily discouraged from being herself. Her quirks disturb people, so they must be kept to herself if she wants to be accepted. Something that many neurodivergent people also feel pressure to do. This hurts her deeply.
Dear Diary, all I ever wanted was to be good at something. To be around people who also liked that something. And when I found the Demon Realm, I thought, wow, I found it. I can learn magic. I can be a witch. I won't be the dummy in the principal's office anymore. But I messed up too much and put everyone in danger.
Throughout the entire show, Luz is shown reaching out to people and showing them acceptance when they're at their lowest points. She spends most of the final season in her own low point, blaming herself for her impulsive mistakes, for not thinking things through. But then someone reaches out to her. Luz's mother shows her the acceptance that she has needed all along, which leads right into Luz's emotional climax.
I had a hard time growing up. I was afraid you would too. My biggest mistake was trying to protect you by changing this beautiful, good witch into something she wasn't.
I think I just realized something. I don't know why it took me so long to figure out. The only thing I've ever really wanted was to be understood.
The Owl House is a show that is all about accepting differences. The people you meet throughout your life may have different strengths from you, or different ways of learning and thinking. Neurodiversity is all about understanding that these differences exist, that there is no one right way when it comes to how the human brain functions, and that's okay. I think it's an incredibly positive message to portray, especially in a medium as lively and limitless as animation, and for younger audiences who may be discovering that they fall into being neurodivergent too. It's not something that anyone should have to fear, or feel the need to hide just to fit in. And the Owl House has done an amazing job at creating an absurd, colorful, magical world where its audience can feel embraced. Just like Luz, we all deserve a little understanding.